What if I told you that the difference between achieving success versus not, versus failing, versus always feeling like you're coming up short and not achieving the goals that you want? What if I told you that the difference between those that achieve success versus those that consistently fail is one 4-letter word? Now, this 4-letter word is something that is shared by successful entrepreneurs, athletes, business owners. A lot of the men and women that you look up to have this one characteristic. Today we're gonna find out what is this 4-letter word, and I'm also gonna show you the 4 ways that you can get more of this word, this characteristic into your life to help you to achieve the success that you want. You ready to find out? Let's do it. A story that I don't share that often. So I was in the Army National Guard, and to be in the Army National Guard, you have to go through basic training just like anybody that's joining the regular Army. So I was in basic training or boot camp, and every single day you had to do PT, physical training. Now at the time that I joined the Army, I was pretty little. I was a tiny kid. I wasn't that strong. I wasn't a great runner. You would think as tiny and slim as I was that I would have been an amazing runner. False. I hated running, I sucked at running, I was nowhere close to being Forrest Gump. But I was young, I was kind of athletic, so PT didn't get me too bad. But then as I kept running, and then we would do road marches wearing our rucksacks and wearing our boots, which were just the most uncomfortable shoes I've worn in my entire life. And eventually I started developing shin splints. I never had shin splints before. Man, these hurt. I mean, they hurt bad. It got so bad that I could barely walk without feeling pain. And as basic training went on, I used to get ice and put it in trash bags to ice my shins. Like, that's how bad it was. But for any of you that have been in the military or you know how the military works, the one thing you never want to admit is that you're hurting or that you're broke or that you're injured. Like, you just don't want to do that, especially in basic training. Otherwise, you've got drill sergeants in your face calling you out every single day.
Get up there, Pile! Pull! Pull, Pile, pull! One pull-up, Pile, come on, pull!
So I did my best to suck it up, and I kept doing PT, kept doing road marches, until one day we had a 5-mile run. And it was about halfway through this 5-mile run that I started having a pain in my shin that I'd never felt before. And I knew that something was wrong. And I can remember this because our first sergeant was running close to me, and I remember saying, "First Sergeant, I think I got something wrong. I got something wrong with my leg." And I remember him saying, "Private, are you a doctor now? You know what's wrong with your leg?" So remember, I'm like 18 or 19 years old, and here I am talking to our first sergeant. So he's like one of the top dogs in our company, and he's questioning whether I'm really hurt. And like, I'm hurting. Like, I would never ever complain if it wasn't what I thought was serious. And I just remember saying, "First sergeant, like, I know like something's wrong. Like this is something I can't explain." So he finally let me get in the back of a 5-ton truck, and I rode in the back of the truck for the rest of the run. After we got back to the barracks, I went to sick call. So sick call is like going to the hospital, end up getting x-rays, and turns out I had a stress fracture. Yep, I had a stress fracture in my leg. And let me tell you, the one place you don't want to be injured, 1 is probably war, but 2 is in basic training. Because now everybody calls you a broke dick. Correct. That is the term given to anybody that gets hurt. So that's one of the reasons why you just don't want to admit, that you're hurting. But I had a stress fracture. I had to put a full-legged cast on. And I think I maybe had 3 weeks left of basic training before I was done. And I was devastated because I don't want to have to restart from the beginning, as they would say, a recycle. And I definitely don't want to be here with a broken leg. I mean, everywhere that we went, I'd have to travel on crutches. Like, that's miserable. One thing I can remember though is my drill sergeant came to me, and this is what he told me. He said, "Private Rose, this is what I want you to do. I want you to participate as much as you can into any of the exercises that we have coming up. Go as far as you can, even though I know that you're on crutches and I know that you have a cast. but do your best and do what you can. So all I had to do was go to these ranges, shoot a gun just to say that I've been certified that I could shoot it, but I had to get up there on crutches, and there were several times I hit my leg on the ground or on something hard, and let me tell you, it hurt. And I can remember after one of these ranges, our company commander came up to me and he said, "Private Rose, you know that I'm gonna have to restart you." And I said, "Yes, sir, I totally understand." But he said something, I don't remember the exact words, but something like he recognized what I was doing. He recognized that I didn't give up. That even though I came across something challenging where a lot of people would quit and not want to finish, he recognized that I was putting forth the effort to do the best I can. And in that experience was the first time that I understood what the word grit means. If you read the definition of grit, it says strength of character, courage, and resolve. To me, grit means never giving up. Doesn't matter how challenging it is, doesn't matter how tall the obstacle is, how bad do you want it? How much are you willing to give and sacrifice to achieve what you want? Angela Duckworth, a psychology professor at the University of Penn and also author of the book Grit, The Power of Passion and Persuasion, this is how she defines grit. She defines grit as a combination of perseverance and passion for especially challenging long-term goals. So she has been studying grit and studying leaders, successful entrepreneurs that possess grit, and she believes that this is a better indicator of long-term success than a lot of the other things that people used to track on how people would become successful. But the cool thing about her findings is that with grit, this is not something that we're born with. This is not innate, is not an instinct. This is something that we can learn through our experiences or just through trial and error. So if you're watching this and you think that you need some more grit in your life, here are 4 strategies that you can do it. The first thing that you need to do is focus on the positive side. In Duckworth's book, Grit, she was able to interview a lot of successful people, and one of the ones he interviewed was Jose de Sena, who is the founder of the Spartan race. And one of the things that she got from that interview was de Sena always focused on the positive things. And one of the things he ended up saying is that typically successful people, they don't focus on the 90% that they can't control. They focus on the 10% that they can. How many times in your life do you feel that you got screwed over? Screwed. I'm sure it's dozens, if not hundreds of times. Heck, I know it's happened to me more times than I can count. But there's only certain things that you can control. And you know what? If somebody's gonna screw you, then screw them. But don't spend and waste all your energy trying to get them back. Instead, focus on you. What can you do differently? What can you do to make a change right now? One of the ways that I focus on the positive is I use my 5-minute journal. And in this 5-minute journal, each morning I write down what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? What are 3 things that I can appreciate? And let me tell you, there are days that it can be hard. You know, those really bad days where everything sucks. But it doesn't matter how bad your day is, I promise you, if you commit to this, you can write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It could be the shirt that you're wearing, or it could be the fact that you have leftovers from the night before, or that you have electricity at your house. Making a conscious effort to focus on the positive and do so on a routine basis will keep your mindset in the positive, and then good things will come. All right, the second thing is focus on who you want to be, not who you once were. And that's hard for a lot of people. I think the easiest way to illustrate this are for those that have ever tried to lose weight. Let's say that you are 250 pounds and you have an audacious goal to get down to 200. So you want to lose 50 pounds. So many times we get caught up in trying to achieve that desired goal. So you start at 250 pounds and now you're down to say 225 and you feel like a failure because you didn't hit that goal of 200 pounds. Do you not forget that you used to be 250 pounds, so you lost 25. You have to recognize that there was some success achieved. It might not be the exact goal that you wanted, but you still lost 25 pounds. I'm gonna be doing more videos on these type topics, talking about goal setting and mindset shifts. But having a positive focus and not comparing yourself to where you think that you're trying to get to, but instead of focusing on what you actually accomplished is a life changer. All right, number 3 is practicing getting up when you fail. Now, one of the cool things I was able to witness is that my youngest son, who has been trying to ride a bike for quite some time, he finally pulled it off just a week ago. My wife was outside running alongside him, telling him to focus, focus, focus so he didn't fall. And he did it. He was so excited. But do you know how many times he fell? He fell time after time after time. And there were times where he did give up. But finally, through perseverance and grit, he pulled it off. Earlier in my career as a financial planner, one of the key ways that I grew my business was doing dinner seminars. So I would rent out a local restaurant, I would spend thousands of dollars on invitations, thousands of dollars on postage, mailing those out. I had an intern who was calling these people, making sure that they would come. And this is how I attracted new clients. Now, the first couple were a huge hit. I mean, from never having done a seminar before to actually have people show up and become a client, like that was a major win. But I think it was the third or fourth seminar that I held, it was a complete flop. I did everything that I did before. I did the invitations, I did the calls, I had the nice restaurant. I followed the exact blueprint that led to success the last two times, but for whatever reason, this one didn't work. And I remember I was so angry and upset and defeated and embarrassed that I just remember saying out loud, I am never doing another seminar again. And that was true until the very next month when I hosted another seminar that achieved massive success. And turns out that seminar that flopped was the worst one that I ever had. But had I quit, had I let that one ruin me and not continue, if I were to chalk that up as a failure and I'm never gonna try it again, I wouldn't be where I am today. Listen, like my son, you are gonna fall off your bike. You are going to fail, but you have to pick yourself up. I don't care if you filed bankruptcy. I don't care if you missed a late payment. I don't care if you're 50 years old and you haven't invested yet. It doesn't matter what your situation is. You can make a difference now. You just have to choose. All right, the fourth and final way to find grit and get it into your life is to develop a solid support system. Now, this could be your friends, it could be some family members, maybe some coworkers, but typically in my experience, that is where you're not going to get it, unless they're just good people, and there are some good people out there. But for me, it wasn't until I started in a mastermind group with other successful entrepreneurs and online business owners that had the desire to achieve the same level of success that I wanted. By surrounding myself with others that had the passion, they had the desire, they had the grit to push through those hard times, just being around that positivity, I can't even explain to you like what an impact that's had. And I've had multiple mastermind groups that I've been a part in, so I've been able to learn from so many different experiences. Even right now, I'm a part of 3 mastermind groups, and I wouldn't be here without being able to share my stories with them, without to share my struggles, my experiences, my hardships. And sometimes I need them to push me, to give me the grit that I need to push through to accomplish whatever the goal is or the obstacle that I have in front of me. Now, for those of you who have never heard the term mastermind group, you're probably thinking, is that some kind of secret society? That's kind of weird, Jeff. Like, what you got going on? But all a mastermind group is that you are surrounding yourself with peers that are all looking to achieve and make themselves better. In most of my mastermind groups, we have online entrepreneurs. So these are guys that are wanting to succeed in business, but they also have a priority of being good men and good fathers and good husbands. So overall, yes, it is to achieve business success, but they also push me to be a better man. And having that solid support system is immeasurable. So my question to you is, do you have grit? Are you willing to push through, or are you just gonna give up and point the finger at somebody else and say, you know what, it's your fault that I haven't got where I want to be? If that's you, please don't like, please don't subscribe. I don't want you here. I'm sorry. I'm actually not sorry. I'm not sorry. But here's what I would love. If you've had an experience in your life where you had to apply grit and push through and you finally achieved your desired goal, I want you to share your grit story in the comments below, because people need to hear this. Do you know how many times I just see people give up because it got kind of hard? oh no, that is gonna be hard, I don't wanna do it. I don't like people that give up. So if my story doesn't encourage them, maybe yours will. There are so many examples of successful entrepreneurs, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, tons of people that have implemented grit in their personal and professional lives and achieved that success. So what's your grit story? Let us know in the comments below. And for those that do appreciate grit, I'll take a like and I'll take a subscribe and do whatever you do there. All right, this is Jeff Rose from Good Financial Sense reminding you that it's your money, your life, and only you can make it awesome. Peace. Passion, not persuasion. I am butchering this intro. Today we're gonna find out what is this one 4-letter word, and then we're also gonna, yes we are,